In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the 3D Coil command in Autodesk Inventor. So the 3D Coil command is kind of a neat little command. You can use it to create different types of coiled springs or any other sort of feature that you want to coil around a shape. So let's start here. I've got a couple of examples ready to go. So we're going to start here on the right-hand side with these two sketch features right here. So the coil command can be found in our 3D model tab in the create panel, and it's the one that kind of looks like, well, a spring. So when you left click on it to activate it, it's going to open up this little properties dialog box here, and the first thing it's looking for is a closed loop profile that you're actually going to create your coil out of. Now I've made it really easy. I'm just going to use a circle here. If you wanted though, you could coil a rectangle, a slot, a star, a smiley face, a shape of a dog, whatever it is that floats your boat here. So you could design any sort of closed loop profile and use it as your profile for your coil command. The second thing it's going to ask for is our axes, and this axis is the central line that you want your coil to spin around. So I'm going to go select axes and grab my construction line that I've placed on here. So we can see with this preview that the coil is going to be going in an upwards direction. Now if I wanted it to go the opposite direction, if I wanted it to go downwards, right beside the axes there's a little flip direction button here. So you just left click on that and you can see it flips to go the other direction. So upwards or downwards depending on what your axis is doing. So I wanted to go upwards, but I wanted to show you that you could flip the direction there. The next thing we need to change is actually our settings in here. So underneath method we have an option for pitch and revolution. So pitch is the distance between two adjacent coils. So it'd be the distance from here to here, or from here to here, and so on and so forth. Okay, revolution is how many times it spins around. So then we have revolution and height, so how many spins it's making and how high we want those spins to fit. So if we choose revolution and height, it's just going to calculate the pitch depending on the parameters that we put in for this. The next one is pitch and height, so same thing, it will calculate revolutions depending on the pitch and the height you put in, or just spiral. So we got lots of options in here. I'm going to go with pitch, actually I'm going to go with revolution and height. So if I change it to revolution and height, you'll notice our options for our parameters here change. The first thing it's going to ask for is how many revolutions do we want to put in here. So again, this is how many times it goes around that axis. Right now mine's only going around once. Now I could change this. Maybe I want to go around 15 times. So I could type in 15 and we can see that that becomes a much tighter coil spring there. I could also go the other direction. So maybe I'm using the coil command not to create a spring, but maybe I'm just using it to take a shape and just sort of wrap it around the edge of something for a small distance. So I could put in a revolution of say 0.5 or even 0.25. And it would actually only go around 0.25. I should turn those off to make this easier. There we go. So then it would actually only go around my shape 0.25 of a revolution. Let's take a look at that from the top. So from the top view, you can see it's only going 1/4 or 0.25 of the way around my axes here. It also looks like a 90-degree slice of pie there. If I change this again, let's take a look at 0.5 from the top. So 0.5 is it's only revolving halfway around my circle, so only 180 degrees, and this is what it looks like from the top, and here it is from our isometric view. So the coil command does not only, it's not limited to just creating springs, although that's a really common use for it. You can actually use it to coil anything around a shape. Next, we type in our height. So right now my height's set at 6 inches. Let's go to maybe 4 inches, and we can see that that becomes a much more pronounced coil there. Okay. So you can change, and the height is just the distance from where your coil starts to where your coil ends. Keep in mind that with my profile here, my coil is going to be a little bit taller than this. So my coil actually won't be just 4 inches tall. It's going to be 4 inches plus the distance between the center point of my circle and the bottom here, which would be half of 0.125. But then at the top, it's going to be the same thing. It'll be from the center point of my circle to the top of my circle up here. So we actually have to add in the diameter of our circle. So it's going to end up being 4.125 is my overall height if I include my circle profile there. So I'm going to stick with 4, and the next thing we have is a taper if we wanted to taper this, and I'm going to just add some more revolutions so we can see what that does. So if I add in, let's go 8 revolutions, we can see right now with the 0-degree taper that those revolutions are all stacked up one on top of each other here. So it's making a straight-sided cylinder. Now what taper does, taper gives us the option to create a conical shaped spring. So if I go with a 5-degree taper, or let's make it a little more noticeable, 15-degree taper, you can see that it tapers outwards as it goes up from its starting point at 15 degrees. If I was to draw a line to connect all the edges here of my spring and measure it to the vertical, that would be a 15-degree taper. We could also go a negative 15-degree taper. Actually, it's a little too much. Let's go negative 10. So negative tapers will taper it inwards. So you get that conical spring shape where the smaller diameter is at the top and the larger diameter is where you're starting. So then again, if I was to draw a line to connect the edge here and measure it to my vertical line here, it would be at negative 15 degrees, or negative 10 degrees, sorry. And lastly here, we can choose to either have a right-hand rotation, which is what we have right now, or we can flip it to have a left-hand rotation if that's what we wanted. Another common use for the coil command is cutting threads into a part that you're going to be 3D printing. So when you're 3D printing threads, you can't just use the thread image button. You actually need to cut them into your part so that they have a physical threaded feature that you could 3D print. And coiling around a triangle that you cut out of a shape is a way to create threads on a 3D part. So then you would want to be very careful whether it's going to be right-handed or left-handed threads. So that's how we can use the coil command. Now, that's a lot of talking, so let's see what this actually looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And here we have ourselves a little conical spring, little compression spring. We've got some space there to squish it together and have it extend or expand back to its original shape there, elastic movement. Now let's turn our sketch back on and let's do this one more time, a little bit quicker. So over here I've got myself another profile, so I'm going to click on coil and I'm going to grab my profile, and now it's going to ask for my axes. This time I did not draw a construction line. Instead I'm going to use my Cartesian axes over here in my model browser. So I just opened up my origin folder and I want to use my, there it is, my Y axes. So I'm going to select that. So you're not limited to having a line in your sketch. You can actually have a work axis or a Cartesian axis to use for this. Now we can see it's going downwards this time. I want it to go upwards, so I'm clicking on that flip button. Next, we choose our method. This time I'll just mix it up. Let's go pitch and revolution. My pitch, again, is the distance between my spirals. So if I make this smaller, you'll notice my spirals get closer together. If I make it bigger, my spirals get farther apart. So pitch is just the difference between those two. Let's go 0.25. All right, revolutions is how many times it goes around. I'm going to just change my taper to 0 here quickly. And let's say I want it to go double that. So the more revolutions I put in, the taller my spring will be, just to fit both of these parameters. So I'll put in 16. Again, taper creates that conical spring. So if I wanted to have it move outwards or get bigger, I would put in a positive taper. If I wanted it to get smaller, I'd put in a negative taper. I'm going to leave this one at 0. Now at the bottom here, I want to show you something else. At the bottom here, we have something called close start and close end. Actually, maybe I should make these a little bit bigger. All right. All right, there we go. So we have something called close start and close end. I just changed this so it'd be a little more noticeable. What these do is they actually change the way the start of your coil and the end of your coil actually look. So for right now, if I click OK, we can see that the start of my coil immediately starts to go upwards, and it's uniform all the way around. I could have cut this off anywhere and it would look exactly the same. And same thing for the end point here. Now, what if I wanted this to be a true compression spring? Compression springs kind of have, their first loop is kind of like a flat loop there. So I'm going to double click on my coil to edit it, and I'm going to turn on close start. And you'll notice, here I'll do that again, so turn it off, turn it on. If you look at my coil while I turn that on and off, you can see what's happening. It's giving us a flat first curve before it starts to go up on the angle for the rest of the curves here. And now you can change your flat angle. If I want it to be less of a flat angle or more of a flat angle, you could put in different angles here, and you'll notice what it does to this bottom line here. And of course my transition's at 30. I could go 45, I could go 15. So I could play around with these angles here to change the way that first curve or that first spiral looks. I do want it to be fairly flat, so I'm going to go with 180 degrees, and my transition angle is going to be 30 degrees here. Okay, so that's how we get the closed start. And if I click OK here, let's take a look at that. So you can see my first revolution here is nice and flat, and this works for a compression spring because compression springs have to have a flat surface that they push down on typically. And by comparison, if we look at the top is still not a closed end here. So we have it just continues up at that angle, and then it's chopped off. So if we want to fix that, we can jump back into our coil. We could turn on close end. Again, you can change these angles if you wanted to. We get that nice flat piece at the top. Click OK. And there we have it. So now we've got a nice flat top and a nice flat bottom to our compression spring, so it could actually have something flat sitting up there and pushing down on it. So the last thing I want to point out is at the very, very, very bottom here. So once you already have a 3D feature into your part file, you guys can come in here and change whether it's going to be joined, cut, or intersect, just like you can with the extrude command. So you can actually join, which is what I did here, where it creates a volume or creates a 3D solid, or you could choose cut to cut out that 3D solid, or intersect, where it only keeps the overlapping volume between the two. So those are all options with the coil command as well. So I'll turn off the visibility of my sketch 1. And there we have it. That's the coil command in Autodesk Inventor.